Hey everyone, you're listening to Athletes Beyond the Mind, a sports psychology and mental training podcast. Athletes Beyond the Mind is brought to you by Close the Gate Hoops and Close the Gate Hoops Mindset. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy this episode. All right, it's Catherine Colby, host of Athletes Beyond the Mind, and we're back with another episode. Today's topic is all about goal setting. Goal setting, how to set goals, what's a goal ladder, all of that stuff. I personally really like this topic because you set goals in all aspects of your life. Even if you're not physically writing them down, you're always setting goals. It's like, oh, I want to get this grade on a test. I hope my free throw percentage is this. I hope this or that or whatever is going to happen. You have those short-term goals that are going to happen, within the next year. You have those medium-length goals that are, about 2 years or so. And you have those long-term goals, those dreams that you have. Maybe it's to be a professional basketball player. Maybe it's a career you want to do. Maybe it's just you hope to be really happy and settled in that time. Whatever it is for you, goal setting is kind of all around us. We're doing it all the time. And I know coaches have gotten really into it. Like at the beginning of the season, we're going to set these goals. You're going to have an individual goal, you're going to have a team goal, whatever it could be. But why are we setting goals? And are we setting goals that are actually something we can reach? Is it something that makes sense to be a goal? Which is kind of what today we're going to be talking about. So the first step of setting a goal is setting a goal. So think about some goals you have in life. And again, can be sports related, school related, life related, really anything related. And now really think of that big goal. What do you have? Okay. So now let's make it into what we call SMART goals. Let's make this a SMART goal. And SMART stands for specific, reliable, attainable. Oh, I skipped them. So specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and timely. We almost just had SART goals, and that doesn't really sound as cool as SMART goals. So again, when you're setting that goal, you want it to be specific. Yeah, you can have that big dream, and that's really awesome. But how do you know you're even going to reach that goal if it's not something specific? So, for example, I know I said in the little intro there talking about free throw percentage. Maybe right now you're a 50% shooter on the free throw line. All right, cool. But your goal is to be 80%. You have a specific thing. You don't want to just get better. You have a specific number in mind. And that's 80%. So that's specific. Measurable. 80% free throw shooting. That's measurable because you take however many shots you had, divided by how many shots you made. There's a way to get there. There's an easy mathematical way of measuring this. This also can be done, with getting a job, getting a degree, whatever it could be, getting a certain grade on a test. Those are all measurable things you can do. Then we have attainable. All right, 80%. That's something that you can do. That's physically possible to do, mentally possible to do. You can go from 50% to 80%. That happens. And 80% free throw shooting is a pretty common number. Then we get to realistic. Is it realistic for you to be an 80% free throw shooter? Yeah, you're already at 50%. Not only is 80% possible, but it's possible for you. You're not looking to get 100%. You're not looking to be perfect, 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 never missing a shot. You have some leeway in there. All right, cool. So that's realistic. And then we have timely. So when do you want to be an 80% free throw shooter by? Are you looking just to do that in 2 weeks, that you're going to be 80%, making 80% of your free throws? Maybe you could do that at a practice or two, but maybe make this a little bit longer. So at the start of the season, you're at 50%. By the end of the season, you're hoping to be your average to be an 80% free throw shooter. That's timely as well. So again, we have our SMART goal. It is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Perfect. So now let's go to this next step. And I like to call this next step, and you can look at it in different research. It's WOOP goals, which is WOOP, WOOP. And this is where we use that SMART goal and we kind of extend off of it. So you have your wish, which is that W. So that's where when I was asking you just kind of think about some big goal you have, that's what you have. It's, I just want to be a better free throw shooter. Awesome. Then we have our objective. And your objective is your SMART goal. So I will be an 80% free throw shooter by the end of the season. Great. That second O is obstacles. What are some things that could get in your way to reach that goal? Whether that's mentally, like, I don't believe I can do it. Whether that's physically, like, I'm not getting enough shots in the games to get my free throw percent to change. I'm not practicing in practice my free throw shooting. Whether it's physically, like, oh, I could get injured, things like that. And then P, which is plan. What are some things you can plan ahead of time? Think about now that can help you avoid those obstacles. So if you're not getting enough shots in the game, maybe you need to be a little bit more aggressive on offense, getting more layups, more shots in general, so that you do have more opportunities for free throws. Maybe if the coach doesn't have you shooting them in practice, come beforehand, stay a little bit later and shoot some free throws. Injury, that's a little bit harder. Sadly, we can't control injuries, but do what you can to make sure you're staying healthy, eating what you need to, checking out our nutrition podcast, stretching, being a part of the team, all of that to make sure that you're doing what you can on your side to avoid injury. But again, injuries happen. So if an injury does happen, how can you still work towards your goal? If you get injured in some part of your leg, your arms are still working, so you can still work on that form. If you do hurt your shooting arm, maybe that's a chance to strengthen that non-dominant hand, and maybe that's not specific for a free throw, but you're still working and you're still connected to basketball, so that'll make it easier to come back from that injury and then work towards that goal again. And maybe you need to alter your goal if you do get injured, or if something happens that's out of your control. It's okay to alter a goal a little bit. So maybe your original goal was to be a better free throw shooter by the end of this season, but you had something happen where now you're not really getting any playing time, whether that's injury, whether that's you're just not getting as much, or COVID hit and your seasons got canceled. So then you just adjust your goal. That's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with adjusting your goal as you go. And then the last thing, and I really love doing this because it kind of puts it all together, is creating a goal ladder. And now I really recommend actually physically making this. And it could be on your computer, it can be on your phone, it can be on a piece of paper, it can be on a whiteboard, whatever really works for you. But I do recommend actually writing it down because then it's out there. People know what your goal is. You are now accountable for your goal. And get an accountability buddy. Have one of your teammates write their goal alongside of you, and you two can kind of work together. So what is a goal ladder? A goal ladder kind of puts all the steps that I just talked about, that SMART goal and that WHOOP goal, together and expands it a little bit. So you want to think about an actual ladder. There's some rungs to it, and you're trying to get to that top of the ladder. That top of the ladder is that SMART goal, that objective, your big main goal. So like I said, the example I've been using throughout this podcast is I'm going to be a 80% free throw shooter by the end of the season. Okay. So at the bottom rung, you want to put what you currently are. So in this example, you're a 50% free throw shooter currently. Then you want to have 2 to 3 rungs in between where you are now and that big goal of the 80% free throw shooting. So 2 to 3 rungs, 2 to 3 steps of the ladder that you're going to be working towards. And those rungs are smaller goals that are leading up to that bigger goal. So this one's pretty easy to break down. So you can go from 50% to 60%, from 60 to 70, and then 70 to 80. So we have 2 extra rungs in the middle. And you put those as SMART goals as well. So right now you're starting at 50%, but by the end of, like, you get about a third of the way through the season, you want to be at 60% average. at 2/3 of the way through the season, you want to be at 70%, and at the end of the season, you want to be at that 80%. You're now at that big goal. So now you have this ladder set up. So what's the next step? You're adding in those obstacles and those plans of how to get around those. So to the side of your ladder, you're going to include some of those obstacles you thought about as you were doing your whoop. So again, maybe not the injury one, because that's hard to totally predict when that's going to happen. And hopefully you don't get injured. But you can do things like, I'm not getting any free throws during the games. We're not practicing them during practices. I'm blanking on some other ones, but things like that, obstacles, whatever you came up with for your obstacles. And so you put those right next to the rung. So you have like this sheet of paper, this whiteboard, whatever, you have your ladder. Next to that, you have your obstacles. And then next to that, and next to every single obstacle, you're going to write down a plan of if that obstacle happens, this is how you're going to overcome it. So again, if you're not getting chances in practice, this isn't what your coaches have you doing. Your plan is to either go before or after practice and shoot blank mini free throws, 50, 25, 100, whatever number works for you. If it's the obstacle is not having as many chances in the game, all right, so how can you get more chances in the game? You have to take more shots during the game too. So that's your plan. Your obstacle is you're not getting enough opportunities. Your plan is to take more shots and take more aggressive shots. Go for those strong layups where it's more often that someone fouls you. Things like that. So now you have this sheet of paper that has your goal ladder, your goal broken down into this goal ladder of smaller goals. You have these obstacles that could get in your way and a plan of overcoming those. So like I said, get an accountability partner. Have someone see that. So maybe you're struggling because you're like, yeah, my goal is to get 80% better, but I really just don't feel like shooting free throws at all today. All right, your accountability buddy can be like, well, let's just shoot 20 today. That's not going to take very much time. I'll shoot it with you. Let's work towards our goals together. Or maybe they know you need a break and they're like, all right, today's your day off, but tomorrow we got to get back into the gym shooting these free throws. And you can also be their accountability buddy with whatever their goal is too. And again, it does not have to be free throw percentage. I just thought that was an easy one to understand, easy to kind of recognize and plan through as I was talking about these goals. But it can be whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be basketball related. And you can have more than one goal at a time. Maybe you have a basketball goal, an education goal, and a life goal. Awesome. Like, that's great. Have all those different types of goals. Really, whatever you want to do. And why is goal setting so important? Because we do it all the time. Even if we're not consciously thinking about it, we have these goals. When you walk into school, you're not just going to school to sit there all day, like, you're hoping to learn. Yeah, that's not a SMART goal, but that's that's not a specific goal, that's not a SMART as in the acronym. But yeah, you're there to learn, that's a goal. When you go to do a presentation, like, you're hoping you teach someone something, you're hoping you do well, you get a good grade, all of that, and good grade means whatever it means for you. That doesn't necessarily mean 100% or an A. So we have these goals all the time. So if we're already doing it, why not do it to our best ability? Why not just have these general thoughts, but instead we have these written down, we have these specific goals, we know what we want to do, and then we can be okay if those goals change a little bit because we change too. You're more than just one thing too, as well. So like make different types of goals, be excited and then celebrate when you reach those goals. Alter the goals when you need to be when things change in your life. That's what goal setting is. It's about the journey of your life and making these amazing different steps. And every once in a while, sit back and think about the goals you've already reached that you didn't even think about. Because at one point, this moment in your life was a goal for you. For me personally, I just completed my education. My main identity is no longer a student. There was a time a long time ago that I was dreaming about this moment, the moment that I'm starting my career and I get to do what I enjoy. bask in that, and then I can set new goals, but I need to enjoy this moment as well, and sometimes that's the aspect that's missed when doing goal setting is enjoy when you reach that goal. Celebrate it. It doesn't have to be some crazy big celebration, but take that moment because it's really awesome what you're doing, and goal setting is a part of life, so it's a skill that needs to be learned. So, kind of just to wrap up what we talked about today, we did SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. We did WHOOP goals, which uses SMART goals and makes it a little bit more, which is that big wish, your objective, or SMART goal, obstacles that could get in your way, and a plan. And then we talked about goal ladders, which is just a way to organize your goals, to see it all, and to get an accountability buddy. And don't forget to celebrate the wins. Don't forget to enjoy when you reach a goal. Thank you again for listening to Athletes Beyond the Mind. Next week topic, we're going to be talking about emotional regulation because I've talked about that a lot and I know I mentioned it during the intro. So yeah, I think we're going to be doing emotional regulation next week, defining what that is, how to work on it, things like that. So see you next week and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you all for listening to Athletes Beyond the Mind, a mental skills and sports psychology podcast. Please follow us on all social media at CTG Mindset.